Diablo is one of the most iconic franchises in the gaming world. First released in 1996, the game captivated RPG fans with its engaging storyline, addictive gameplay, and stunning visuals. However, to fully understand the game's complete story, it's important to know the universe that surrounds the plot, presented in the first 3 books of the franchise. In this video, we'll explore the universe of Diablo, from the wars between angels and demons, the creation of Sanctuary, to the events leading up to the first Diablo game. Let's check it out because this lore is amazing. In the beginning of the Diablo universe, wars were frequent between heaven and hell. Angels and demons faced each other in bloody battles, with many casualties on both sides. The angels were led by a council called the Inarius, composed of Inarius, Tyrael, Uriel, Ithariel, and Malthael. Meanwhile, hell was ruled by 3 great evils, Baal, Mephisto, and Diablo. Tired of the wars, some participants in the battle, including Inarius, an angel, and Lilith, a demon, came together to create a new world they called Sanctuary. Inarius was an archangel and a key member of the Inarius Council, a group of angels that rule the high heavens. And Lilith is the eldest daughter of Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred, one of the rulers of the burning hells. To create Sanctuary, Inarius and Lilith used an artifact called the Worldstone. The Worldstone had the power to shape realities, create life, and worlds. This powerful artifact was stolen from the Pandemonium Fortress. As both sides fought for control of the Worldstone, the fortress was sometimes commanded by the angels and sometimes commanded by the demons throughout the eternal conflict. While heaven and hell battled with their armies, Inarius and Lilith took the opportunity to steal the Worldstone and used its power to hide it in another dimension, and there they shaped the world around them, which they called Sanctuary. And so, Sanctuary became a place where divine and demonic creatures could coexist peacefully, including relationships between the 2 species. From these relationships, the Nephilim were born, who were powerful beings with magical and physical abilities that surpassed both angels and demons. This includes the birth of their firstborn son, Lunarian. With the increasing population of the Nephilim, Inarius began to fear that the world created by them would be discovered. Inarius, fearing that the power of the Nephilim could threaten the peace and stability he had sought in Sanctuary, decided to take some time for reflection and consider putting an end to the Nephilim. Lilith, in turn, became furious upon learning of the threat of the extinction of her children, the Nephilim, and in retaliation she killed all angels and demons in Sanctuary. Although angered by Lilith's rash action, the angel could not bring himself to kill his beloved because of their past together, so he banished her to the void. And by manipulating the Worldstone, Inarius weakened the power of the Nephilim with each passing generation, causing them to forget their ancient powers and becoming human. Lunarian rebelled against his parents due to the decisions they made for Sanctuary and went in search of allies who agreed with his ideals and goals. As a result, he became a disciple of Trilogy, a mystical entity described as a dragon made of stars that inhabits an empty dimension. This entity baptized him with the name Ratma, which he accepted, rejecting the name given by his parents. And now Ratma's objective is to maintain the balance between the burning hells and the high heavens. As time passed, the 3 great evils first discovered the location of Sanctuary. And to avoid drawing attention, they created a religion called the Triune to try to manipulate the descendants of the Nephilim. Inarius, on the other hand, created a religion called the Cathedral of Light, which competed with the Triune to convince humans by preaching about the commandments of the celestial paradise. The story of Uldysian, a peasant who became an important figure in the history of the Diablo universe, even though he never appeared in the games. After meeting a beautiful woman named Lilia, he begins to develop mysterious powers and soon discovers that he is a Nephilim. As Uldysian begins to hone his powers, he decides to travel to different villages in search of converting people, awakening their latent powers so they can help him destroy the 2 main sects of Sanctuary, the Temple of the Triune and the Cathedral of Light. Uldysian's followers became known as the Ediram, made up of descendants of the Nephilim. Lilia, Uldysian's lover, was none other than Lilith disguised as a human, in order to manipulate Aldician's powers. And after several events, Lilith is once again banished to the void by her former lover Inarius, who made sure this time she would not escape. This was the final showdown between Aldician and Inarius, and in an epic battle that claimed the lives of many of Aldician's followers, he emerged victorious against Inarius. And immediately, hundreds of angels descended from the heavens and the ground erupted, bringing forth creatures from hell. Aldician, using his great power, managed to guide all the angels and demons to their respective realms. However, this power unleashed in Sanctuary unleashed a chaotic energy, and realizing that Sanctuary would not withstand such power, in a last desperate attempt, Aldician absorbed all the energy around the world and sacrificed himself so that Sanctuary would not be destroyed. After Aldician sacrificed himself, the fate of the mortal realm was decided in a meeting between the Angiras Council and Mephisto. Although the council was divided between sparing or eradicating mortals, they voted for the continuation of Sanctuary, with Tyrael casting the deciding vote after being deeply moved by Aldician's sacrifice. In exchange for Inarius, who had become a renegade, Mephisto proposed a truce. The forces of hell would no longer interfere in the mortal realm. As a result, humanity was left to face its own fate and was excluded from the great conflict. Some time later, the primevals turned their attention to corrupting human souls, as they continued to believe it was the key to winning the conflict between heaven and hell. So, Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo focused their efforts on Sanctuary. It turns out that in hell there are also the lesser evils, which are Asmodam, Belial, Andariel, and Duriel. And they began to believe that the primevals were afraid to continue the war against heaven. Asmodan and Belial had a plan to banish the primevals to Sanctuary and take control of hell for themselves. They believed that with the three released upon humanity, the angels would be forced to turn their focus to Sanctuary. In exchange they would leave the gates of heaven abandoned and defenseless. A brilliant plan. As the lesser evils decided who would be the new commander of hell, Sanctuary would be marked by a time of evil with the coming of the primevals who encouraged conflicts, murders and all kinds of misfortune. The presence of the primes was discovered by Tyrael, the Archangel of Justice, who, in order to intervene without alerting the heavens, gathered several individuals belonging to clans of mages, thus naming this group of Horadrim. To contain the primes, Tyrael gave the Horadrim 3 soul stones, which were nothing more than fragments of the World Stone. These stones would allow them to track and imprison the primevals. Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred, was the first to be imprisoned by an army of Horadrim. The Horadrim entrusted Mephisto's soul stone to the monks of Zekharum. Meanwhile, the leader of the Horadrim named Tal Rasha was tasked with the imprisonment of Baal. During their battle, Baal's soul stone cracked, and in a heroic act, Tal Rasha merged with the stone to imprison the demon in his body. The soul stone of Baal, along with Tal Rasha's body, were sealed in a secret tomb in the city of Lutgholine. Finally, after a 15-year hunt that nearly cost the Horadrim their lives, Diablo was defeated and imprisoned. Diablo's soul stone was hidden in a remote cave located in the lands of Condurus. Above the cave, the Horadrim built a monastery to safeguard the soul stone. Condurus will be known for the events that will occur in Tristram, which is where the story of the first game in the franchise begins. Diablo. In summary, the Diablo universe is full of intriguing stories and memorable characters. From the eternal war between angels and demons, to the creation of the world of Sanctuary and the struggle of humans against the forces of evil. And the story of Aldician and the Horadrim is just one of the many that make up this rich and complex universe. If you're a fan of the franchise or just interested in learning more about it, it's worth delving deeper into this fascinating lore. Thank you for watching this video about the Diablo universe. We hope you enjoyed learning about the story behind the game's plot. If you're a fan of RPG games, you can't miss out on the Diablo franchise and dive into the world of Sanctuary. If you enjoyed the content of this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this. And don't forget to leave a comment with your opinions and suggestions for new videos. See you next, Nephilim.